Hey everyone, how are you? Welcome to Eclipse reading as I promised on my message of the day. So, I just wanted to briefly give you astrological update and then I'm going to do sign wise tarot reading for each sign. First of all, the eclipse is already over today in the afternoon Finnish time, and I'm recording it in the evening because again I'm not very good with timings. Most of my followers know that, but luckily eclipse energy lasts for 6 months till next eclipse. So it might be still a good idea to record these videos and upload them because it will guide you for next 6 months. So this eclipse is a special one because it's happening after 580 years. This is eclipse where the eclipse lasts for very long because the distance between Earth and Moon is way too much. Because of that, the eclipse time lasts for very long, and that's why it brings different kind of changes in different people's uh, life. Anyhow, eclipse is a very and this one is a full eclipse also. So I've just noted the position of few prominent planets that are playing an important role. Of course, Sun, Moon, Rahu, and Ketu, they play a very important role in any eclipse. But then in today's eclipse, we have Venus, Jupiter, and Saturn also making some kind of contribution based on what I have observed. I know there are different astrologers who would differ from me, but this is my interpretation. So, when I'm talking about astrology, I'm talking more about a generic view of how humans on a global level and institutions on global level would be acting and reacting because of this eclipse energy. So, first of all, it's a test for humans like each individual like you and me. How perfect are we in controlling our senses, and how much are we running after our sensual pleasures? And it could be anything. Don't judge yourself, don't judge anyone for that matter. And I don't expect you to just leave all your sensual pleasures for next 6 months. I just want you to be aware of your sensual pleasures because no one can stop them, and it's stupid to stop them because it will mess up with your brain. But then it says that you should be aware when to stop getting into sensual pleasure and when to continue with your sensual pleasure. If you are aware of that, it's good. It's a kind of test of that. So those who are able to stop their sensual pleasures at the right time, like do not overindulge into them, Rahu is actually going to give them a lot of blessings to move forward in life, and that's where a lot of blessings are going to come in for individuals on a global level. And I'm seeing that people would lose trust on institutions and follow their own patterns. They'll understand how their body is acting and reacting to various things, and they will start following their own pattern rather than trusting institutions like medical institutions and all those things who are putting you under a lot of medications, unnecessary things, just to keep the money flowing. And you would actually deal with that in a long run, and you'll see that governments would find themselves a bit of struggling. Intergovernmental relations, like one country's relationship with another, it's it's already being observed, and it's going to be even more stressful in next 6 months. So that won't be a surprise. And only thing that I'm scared about is that there could be a severe cold war kind of situation or even a war kind of situation, but I don't see the actual war happening in next 6 months. But people would be speculating worse during this time. And on the other hand, Ketu is constantly reminding of the past, like the past of First World War and Second World War, and asking you to control your senses, because anger is also a form of sensual expression, and that's where government officials and the politicians need to control. So the Ketu is constantly reminding that don't indulge into the stupid sensual behavior. And I don't know from where I've learned this word stupid. I've been using that for last few weeks a lot. I've noticed that. So if it's annoying, I'm sorry. I somehow feel little annoyed because I don't like to use such words, but I've picked it up from somewhere and I still can't figure out the source of that. But anyhow, coming back to Ketu, what Ketu is doing is trying to remind you of the past, that past was horrible. Don't repeat that horror again. And that's where you have to be careful. Venus, on the other hand, is bringing very good harmony for relationships. If you are into relationships, suddenly you will recognize your partner as very charming, very caring, and you could see all the positive aspects. It's not that they don't have negative aspects, but the positive aspects would be larger than life, and you would be attracted towards that, and that will end up resolving a lot of problems. If you had some kind of stress in your relationship, you will see that you and your partner are now suddenly seeing each other's positive sides, and you are getting closer and closer. And by the time the eclipse energy ends after 6 months, you will realize that the negative things are very minor things and they don't even matter. So that's a very good blessing on individual relationships, but on a governmental level, relationships are bad. Moving on to Jupiter and Saturn. Jupiter and Saturn had a very tricky role in last 2 years, and with the corona and all those stuff, they were quite influencer in the sky. And many astrologers have spoken about that, so I won't get into what they have been doing in the sky, how they're influencing us, but what I'm going to talk about is what they're going to do in future. On one hand, Saturn now is trying to move the consciousness beyond this time and space where there's a lot of suffering and there's a lot of pain, and giving hopes to people to see things beyond here. So a lot of extraterrestrial things may happen on a larger level, which you and I may not notice very well, but there would be a larger energy shift on a global level where common people would be trying to move away from this crisis, and they would try to forget and resolve things and move on with their lives. But then always Saturn and Sun are in always a tight rift. So Sun represents governments and Saturn represents common people. Common people want to move on, but the governments is so rigid in their ego right now. That would be a problem, and that's where the tension would arrive, that the governments would find themselves alone. They would not find the support of their people. Governments would be like, and to create a crisis, you might see some governments doing some stupid things. Again, I'm using stupid, yeah. Some crazy things to get attention from their people, and that's where they would indulge into tough fights with neighboring countries so that they get some attention, that they and they divert the attention that they have neglected a lot many things within the country, but now there's a time of crisis where they have to deal with another country, but everything would be created because of ego. On the other hand, Jupiter is trying to set up an whole new pattern. Jupiter is going to change signs day after tomorrow. It would move into Aquarius. It's already in Aquarius from tropical zodiac, but in sidereal zodiac, it's going to move in Aquarius, and where it will start bringing a new conversation. Let's create a new world where we don't need a lot of stress, where we don't need a lot of pressure, and that's where Saturn and Jupiter would change the equation and try to bring a new way of thinking where people are a little more comfortable about sharing things with each other and helping each other little more. Like if you see pre COVID situation, people were very independent. At least in bigger cities, you would see that nobody would know their neighbors. Nobody would stop for a minute to help someone on the sideway path or on the subways. People would be running after uh, God knows what. They were crazy. They were always late for something. But suddenly now you would see a bigger shift that people are don't want to live that kind of life. They don't want to be part of this rat race. So that's the astrological update for next 6 months based on what I'm observing from the present eclipse chart. And in future, if there would be something else, I would be very happy to update about that. And also, if you are listening to this line, it's a test if you have survived till here. Do you want science specific uh, detailed tarot or astrological or both reading for Jupiter moving to Aquarius? If you want that, please leave a comment. And if I get few comments, then I would definitely do that. But do those readings. But it would be little time from now, a week from now. It's actually moving on 21st of November, but I'll uh, post them before the month end because that transit lasts for 1 year, so it's worth it. If you are really interested in that, then it will guide you for next 1 year. Thank you so much for watching this video, and now